Good afternoon YouTube, and welcome back to Warwick Road. Apologies for the delay in posting the video. This has been due to the cold weather. Also, when the weather has been warm, I've been up here filming, but somewhere someone's dog barked continually for the 3 hours I was up here, so the footage I've took was useless because there's no way I can show you the layout with this awful dog barking in the background. And I've also had a few weeks off because I've had a massive issue with continual derailments, especially with the biomass, the Curascale biomass wagons and the Dapol spine container wagons. So I've got 12 of the biomass wagons, and I think I've got 10 two-car sets of the spine wagons. That's a big part of what I run on the layout, and I would sit here doing the filming even with the dog barking and continually derailment. So I think I got so frustrated that I didn't run trains and just concentrated on the scenery. Then when I started to run trains, the track was really filthy because it obviously hadn't been used. I not really bothered with it. So it's all thanks to Danny at Ivor Junction. I saw one of his videos and he was just so enthusiastic for the hobby. It was just a joy to see, and I think I just got a little bit fed up, and he'd sort of, you know, it's a hobby, it's not something I should get massively upset about. I think I'd got a bit upset. A lot of it is my own fault because it's dodgy track work. One of the things I have noticed is that it may just be me, but curved points don't work well. So I had 4 on the layout on the main tracks. They've all gone. I've replaced them all. I had a split in one of the sleepers under the scenic section, which all had to come up. So the track bowed under the weight of the train when it went round the corner. So it just kept derailing. So I got all new track, full radius curves. I've replaced it all. I've still got a few more bits to do, but I'm starting to get a little bit more consistent running, and I'm just a bit happier with everything, because at one point about 3 or 4 weeks ago I thought, right, I'm going to rip everything up and totally redo it. So I thought about that, and I was at work and I was just going through costs and everything, and yeah, it's a ridiculous thing to have even thought of, but that's just how frustrated I'd got with everything. But, you know, again, thanks to Danny, just his enthusiasm, you know, just what am I getting so worked up about? Just get up there, spend a few hours and fix the problems. So I'm gradually working through those now. So one of the things I'd been up to whilst I wasn't up here because it was too cold is the Dapol 59. I've shown this before, but when I showed it before it was running really noisily. But I give it a session on a rolling road for about an hour in both directions at low and fairly high speeds, and it's all of a sudden overnight it just sounds like a normal loco now. There's none of that clicking as if something was stuck inside the working somewhere. So I've now started working on Richard Everard Junction. Had done the video about how you make it more like the real thing, so I've attempted the lighting, but I think my soldering iron is too big, so it took me probably an hour just to do 2 lights. Left it for a night, went back, done the other lights, but one of them I think the wires come adrift, so I've got 3 out of the 4 working lights, which is fine. I now know what I'm doing, but I think I need to get the smallest soldering iron I can, because with the soldering iron I had, it was very difficult to get it just right, and soldering isn't one of my specialities either. I've had a go at dropping the radio mast, I think it's called, a little bit lower, and also I've done the exhaust to sit flush like a 59 and not like a 66. So probably the first new loco that I've bought that I've ever worked on. Definitely lights. I've never normally worked on lights before, so yeah, please, just got to get that last light done, but nice loco. Just got to finish the work. So as I said, I had a problem with my biomass wagons, and uniquely for me, these wagons are the heaviest wagons I've got in my fleet, but when you roll them along the track, it feels like there's quite a bit of resistance in the wheel sets. Now I've put a little bit of grease in like the little bearing, and that has improved it a bit. But I think another issue I had with these is down the far end of the layout. I've got it's third radius, but it's obviously quite a tight loop to bring the trains back up the loft, because I can only use one side of the loft down the far end. For some reason I think I was originally going to have that scenic, so I'd put super elevation on the curves, but the way I'd done it, it was almost like super elevation. So as the wagons were going round the corner, and I watched them really close up and I filmed it, they were literally just tipping over. So the loco would go around the corner, not particularly fast, and then you just hear the thud of however many of the wagons falling over. So that was really frustrating until I realised it's a super elevation, but also it was the I had hunt couplings, but they weren't long enough. So on this corner I was getting buffer lock as well, which wasn't helping. So I've gone back to the tension lock couplings for now, and then I shall start experimenting with the hunt couplings. I need to buy some slightly longer ones, because they were a bit shorter than this. It looked good, but with that third radius curve, the loop, it just didn't seem to work. Again, it might just be me, it might just be my dodgy track laying. So I've ripped all the super elevation out on the entire layout, because yeah, it looks good, but for me, with the number of derailments I was getting, couldn't do a circuit on any circuit with any freight wagons. Just keep and it was the front wheels, the first wagon. So I think I had an issue with some of the locos with the coupling was a bit stiff as well, so it wasn't moving freely, so it would just pull the first wagon off the tracks. So I've greased those. This class 90 was one that I did have a problem with, but I've greased it with some white grease, and that seems to fix the issue. So one of the other things I did to improve running was moved this point that was further up here and right next to the corner. I've moved it back, and also this one here as well. I moved them both backwards, because as the trains were going down this track, getting to this point and then turning left, sometimes either the front wheels of the loco were coming off, or because of the issue with some of the couplings on the locos being a bit stiff, as they would go around the corner, the coupling would still be straight, and obviously the first wagon couldn't get around there. This was another reason why I had loads and loads of derailments on this corner, was just because of this. I've moved it up away from the point, and again taken the super elevation off of this, because that wasn't helping. So my super elevation was too high basically, so I needed a thin piece of plastic card, and I was using 2mm card, because I had got stacks of it here. Never really thought it was an issue until the trains are dropping off the curves. Another area I changed was here. This again was a curved point, and again I used to get massive problems here. So the track used to come around, and I had an odd layout here, used to come around here. Then I had loads of vegetation between the two main tracks, but again, when I was sort of reflecting on what I was going to do, that I wanted that gone. So again, I've put new tracks in there, and now it looks like two main lines. And again, that has greatly reduced the derailments. So it's probably not planned. I didn't really plan it that well, because this was, I think 2019 I started this extension, and literally it was just one track going round to a couple of small sidings. But obviously with lockdown and everything and having so much time and track, it just grew and grew and grew. So one of the other things I'd worked on over the winter when it was too cold is a change to my Jaguar Land Rover dealership. So what I'd noticed in this area was that it was far too cluttered with too many small businesses. So what I've decided to do is model it on something that is near me, which is a very big Jaguar Land Rover dealership. Now obviously I'm not going to do it to the size of the one that's near me because it is absolutely massive. But I've just had I'd looked online for kits that would do the job, but unfortunately there was nothing there that really caught my eye, so I've decided to have a go at scratch building. And those of you that follow the channel know I don't do a lot of scratch building. I decided to have a go. So what I've done, this is lit, but I haven't got it all wired up. The bulbs are in there and everything. So I've got some cars in there inside the showrooms. The showroom's all kitted out inside. One group of cars on one side, one group of cars, manufacturers on the other side. I've done some roofing, which I've just got to finish off. A little bit's come away. This is from Fair Price Models, and this is their laser kit, and it's really good. And I've just done a little service bay over there. So with the winter being so long and so cold, it just made sense to come up here, take a module down, and just have another crack at it. A few pigeons up on the top of the sign there, so yeah, had a go at that. So another thing I'd done on the town scene was that every time I'd gone to do something with pavement, I'd use the Metcalfe card pavement. And when it first came out, yeah, it was fine for this, for what I wanted. But like most areas, a lot of the councils now dig it up and just tarmac it. So I thought I would do that. And it's actually allowed me to do lots of different tones, weathering, all kinds of stuff. I've still got some of the Metcalfe paper there, but it actually gives a really good variety. So I'm going to leave the station as it is. But it's just, and I'm going to do it on the main, couple of the main streets as well, up on the top. It's going to get the same treatment, but it just allowed me to go back and revisit areas of the layout that probably haven't been touched for 2 years. Just change them around, really, just refresh them. And you know, really in a cold light of day, if I don't like what I see, I attempt to fill it with something else, or to be honest, sometimes the layout can get a bit cluttered, so maybe remove items and less is more. So this is my latest purchase from Hatton's. It was on a special offer. It had got no mirrors, cracked case and a damaged box. I picked it up for 30 quid, which is really good because the RRP of these is 57, I think. I wanted one for the layout, but not at that price, to then prise it open and start sticking people in. So normally my buses where the mirrors have been knocked off, I make some scratch built mirrors. But these, I know these, I've seen these around, now come with cameras. So what I've done is, again for something different, because these with the cameras for the manufacturer haven't been released yet, they're due to be released soon, so I thought, well, I'll have a crack. So I'll put the cameras on there, and also, I don't know if it shows up really well, but inside would also be the screen that shows the driver the image. So this will go onto the layout. Love it, I really think it's great. So this caravan I've shown before is from Shed Ring Model Railways, but what I've done is, this is a family going away for a long weekend. I've whacked a couple of bikes on the back, only because actually while I was driving to work the other day, I actually saw it and thought, well, that would be something good to put on the layout on the caravan. So the next steps for the layout over the next couple of months will be to improve the running. There's still a few areas where the track looks a little bit lumpy, so that needs to be improved. Obviously some more detailed bits. Remove some of the vegetation between the tracks. I think I've gone mad. It almost looks in some places almost like a rainforest. Trees and bushes and everything, so to tone it down a bit. And I think, like I said before, less is more. It will look a lot better. I'm looking forward to the new releases sort of like over the next year or so. I think, in my opinion, for diesel modelers, it's been the best time ever. I think with the new class 56, 60, 37, 66 and another run of the Deltics, it's going to be fantastic. I mean, I know that the 66 is a reworked Hatton's, but I've got 13 of the Hatton's one, and yes, there is the actual issue with the axle boxes, which is not a difficult job to resolve, and yes, bits do fall off of them, but it is still a superb locomotive, again in my opinion. I've had no issues with any of mine. I've got a 56 on pre-order. I've got a Hornby one, which is good, but seeing, I think it's Underground Eric showing off the new Cavalex version, I can't wait for that. That's going to be fantastic. And one of the things that I'm really pleased about is that the RRP, they still, both for Curasco and Cavalex, are keeping the RRP for DCC ready at a pretty reasonable price, considering that for a 60 at Hornby, I think it's over £200 for a DCC ready 8 pin, or I think it's now 21 pin. For me, that's too much money. Another £50 and you can get a sound one from the new manufacturers. So I didn't go for an Curasco 37, but if there's any left, I may do. But I think I've got a lot of saving, a lot of overtime to do at work. But I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be absolutely fantastic. So now that the weather's warming up a bit, I'm going to try and upload more videos, but only obviously when I've got some content to show. But before I sign off, I want to thank you all for watching, following and commenting on my layout. I really enjoy the feedback, it's great. I hope to be back soon. And once again, thanks for watching and happy modelling. Bye bye.